You know that his decision to announce the thing about tips was not something that was focus grouped. That was not something that was part of a 10-point plan that his economic team came up with. He realized the value of it, and he jumped on it. I think the fact that the service unions had to put out a statement so quickly is evidence of how effective that plank could be. And it, once again, as we've seen with a lot of the other unions, shows the division between the union's leadership and their members. Their members are going to love this. The members don't care what their union.
We see that a lot with the Republican candidates, especially Trump, where the members are blue collar and more conservative.
All right, folks. So yesterday was Donald Trump's big rally in the state of Nevada. And in today's video, I want to hone in on one specific policy proposal that is making a lot of headlines. To my knowledge, not only has he never had this idea before, but I don't think any political candidate in the past has really campaigned on this. And yet I listened to it, and I don't want to overplay this, but genuinely, this is so genius, so creative, and so strongly showing good political instincts that I genuinely believe it could be something that helps Donald Trump significantly win the election in November. And you may say, Vince, one random policy proposal, is that really such a big deal? Well, consider this. I'm not saying it's going to change the polls entirely, but in a close battleground state, where that extra 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 votes makes all the difference, this really is such a big idea. It could make the difference there. And so I want to talk about that today. And you may be asking, Vince, what is this idea that is so crazy that you're saying, hey, may tip the election for Donald Trump? Well, yesterday at the rally, Trump announced that he would ask Congress to eliminate all taxes on tips for restaurant workers and hospitality workers. So I've never worked in a job that required tips, so I never even knew this, but apparently, and it's incredibly crooked, I think it goes against all ideas of what a tip is supposed to be. But if you are a restaurant worker, if you're a waiter or something like that, you actually have to pay taxes on your tips. I think we can all look at that and universally agree it's pretty crooked, but no major political candidate has ever said, we are going to abolish that, until Donald Trump came along. Take a listen to this.
So this is the first time I've said this, and for those hotel workers and people that get tips, you're going to be very happy, because when I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips, people making tips. We're not going to do it, and we're going to do that right away, first thing in office, because it's been a point of contention for years and years and years, and you do a great job of service, you take care of people, and I think it's going to be something that really is deserved. More importantly, popular or unpopular. I do some unpopular things, too, if it's right for the country. I do what's right. But so those people that have jobs in restaurants, whatever the job may be, a tipping job, we're not going after for taxes anymore. This will be ended.
All right, so again, there was Donald Trump saying that he's going to abolish taxes on tips. Now, you may say, Vince, that's a great idea, but aren't you kind of exaggerating? You really think this could be something that actually sort of tips the election if it does come down to be something close? Well, again, on the surface, you may say it's a bit silly to say that, but think about this more deeply. What state was he in yesterday? The state of Nevada. If you don't know, the culinary, the restaurant industry, as well as hotels, obviously Las Vegas, is huge. It dominates the entire Nevada economy by numbers. And so going to them directly and making this proposal, yes, could be something that, if Nevada does come down to the wire, could push Donald Trump over that hill just by what he needs in that state. And by the way, the great thing about this policy proposal is it's not just refined to one state or one region of the country, right? When Donald Trump came to the Midwest in 2016 and said that he wants to bring back the manufacturing jobs, if you were in suburban Atlanta, Georgia, or Phoenix, Arizona, or somewhere like that, you may say, okay, yeah, good for them, made in America, we agree with that, but how does that affect me? The great thing about this is that obviously, it's the biggest in Nevada, but everywhere in every single state in this country, it's a universal industries, right? Restaurants, hotels, service, every Uber drivers, right? Everyone takes tips in every place in the country. And so that's another big reason why this may be such a big deal in Nevada, but it's going to appeal in every single state, including every single battleground state. And so I genuinely think, you know, you may have a lot of service workers out there, especially that demographic, probably not overall, first of all, the most involved in politics. You know, you might look at a college kid who's just working a job or something like that, maybe a single mom trying to provide for the family, doesn't really care for Trump versus Biden, but you go and hear that and say, hey, that could be a big change in my life. Maybe I got to go vote for Donald Trump now, right? This is one of those cutting edge ideas I really think could make that significant of a difference. It also, to some degree, shows the party realignment that has happened under Donald Trump and, you know, post 2016, especially. Working class people, whether they're unionized or not, were a historically big voting group for the Democrats. And you look at the history of the state of Nevada and why that state has been blue for so long, it's largely because a lot of the unions of these very employees have been basically a political voting machine for the Democrats. But now Donald Trump is approaching this group, which is something no Republican in the past really tried to do before, and said, why not make a play for these people, right? These people probably agree more so with the conservatives nowadays than the modern far left. Why not do something for them and obviously do something for people across this great country of ours? And so again, I don't want to underplay that. I really think this is political genius. And when you contrast that with what Biden is doing, to some degree, we have seen how Joe Biden is trying to buy votes. Just look, prime example of this at the student loan forgiveness that he's trying to do. What's the entire point of that? And why is Biden suddenly forgiving more and more student loans as we get closer to election year? It's because he's trying to buy those votes, right? Hey, Joe Biden, forgive your student loans. And to this date, the Republicans, Donald Trump, we've never really had a strategy in reverse where we go right to people and kind of just say, hey, look. But in this case, it's not actually Donald Trump buying votes. It's more like selling votes, right? Selling your own money, your own hard-earned income back from the government to the people. And so this is something, again, I think is very genius, going to be very popular. And you may call me crazy, but let's see what happens in November. Exit polls, all of that, how big of a difference this specific policy proposal makes, because I truly believe it could be something pretty big and pretty nationwide as well. But in other news, albeit related news, we certainly know that immigration is going to be a big issue that impacts this election. Currently, by the polls, it ranks, for the most part, second most important, just behind the economy. And Donald Trump on this front has been going out and saying that he wants to initiate the largest mass deportation program in U.S. history.
We will not let them release illegal alien criminals into your streets. I will shift massive portions of federal law enforcement to immigration enforcement, and on day one, we will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. No country can sustain what we're going through. It cannot be sustained, what we're going through. Millions and millions of people are taking over our cities, our suburbs. It cannot be sustained by any country.
Now, some people may look at that, the political consultant class, and say, okay, hold on, Trump. I understand what you're saying, but isn't that a little extreme? Isn't that a little harsh? Well, it actually turns out that this hardcore response to illegal immigration is incredibly popular with Americans. In fact, it's as close as you're going to get to actually a bipartisan issue in politics nowadays. And so this is, again, something showing that Trump's ideas, Trump's proposals, some of them may be crazy, some of them may seem out of left field, but the agenda he's running on, in differentiation perhaps from some other Republicans of the past, could make the difference here. Check this out. CBS recently ran a poll asking voters if they would support a brand new national program that would deport all illegal aliens. Okay, so that's exactly what Donald Trump is saying. It's arguably even more quote unquote extreme than what Trump is saying, right? We're not even just doing the pre-Joe Biden policy. No, this is deport all the illegal aliens. Check this out. Actually has 62% support in the United States. That is a majority of voters. And newsflash, that's not just all MAGA Republicans here. This includes independents. This even includes a decent amount of Democrats. Check this out. And clearly the CBS host here, not happy to report this news. They're a little shocked by it, but take a listen.
Do you support a new government program that would deport all people living in the U.S. illegally? And that finds majority favor. That finds 6 in 10. It's strongest among folks who are MAGA. It's strongest among among Trump supporters, but also from some Democrats as well. And I think that speaks to the general idea, not just that people see the border as a crisis, but also where we are in the campaign, where a lot of very dramatic or new proposals out there are finding favor here.
So unpack that a bit, because this 62% of Americans favor deporting all undocumented immigrants. So Homeland Security says that President Biden has already deported or repatriated more people in the past year than any year since 2010. And then, depending on the details of what's talked about on the campaign trail, some of what Mr. Trump talks about could be illegal. It doesn't seem practical in some sense to round up children. And then we know that the courts have questioned whether local authorities would have the ability to do it. And federal authorities don't have the resources. So what exactly do people think they're supporting?
Yeah, so in other words, this CBS host is shocked. She is dismayed that the majority of Americans actually do support deporting the entire brand new voter base that the Democrats are trying to bring in. And that includes a lot of independents, a lot of Democrats, a lot of Hispanics, et cetera, et cetera. These ideas are very popular. And keep in mind, the majority said they support deporting all the illegals, okay? Which is the most quote-unquote extreme proposal. I'm not going to call it extreme, but that's the idea, right? This is including the dreamers, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure if you did sort of a more moderate position, even more Americans would support. But this is all to say that that is as close to a political mandate as you can possibly get in the modern United States of America. Even the Democrats are on board with this. That truly says a lot. And so let me say this. A lot of Republicans for years have been toying with this idea of amnesty, right? You see Lindsey Graham, you see the neocons. Every couple of years, they're talking about, hey, let's work together with the Democrats to do an amnesty bill because they're saying these things about the dreamers, right? We feel bad for the dreamers. We feel bad for the people who have been here maybe 10 to 20 years. But the utter reality of it is this.
Your answers on immigration were fertilizer. They were nonsense. Your answer, you said, why are we seeing this crisis? Your answer was poverty. There are 7 billion people on planet Earth, many of whom were poor. And you know what? They were poor last year. And we had the lowest rate of illegal immigration in 45 years. They're poor this year. What's changed is this administration refuses to enforce the law, and Texas is paying the price for it.
You're telling me that it's got to secure the border before you pass this act?
Let me be clear. I'm not Lindsey Graham. I don't support this bill. No. Look. I understand that there have been Democrats and Republicans who support amnesty. I ain't one of them.
Why
I get that you want amnesty. I get that your invitation is come to America, forget the legal processes, and everyone.
I want a workforce that's going to continue to support the greatest agriculture and food industry in the world. That's what I'd like to have. Senator.
Well, I'll tell you. I thought you wanted him to respond.
Senator, you've taken more time than any other senator this morning. Will you please wrap up?
This is a crisis. This administration caused it, and this committee doesn't even care to have a hearing on the suffering that is happening at the border that is caused by policies that don't work.
Combating illegal immigration, and we actually find immigration restrictionism as a whole is one of the most popular things that a Republican can run on. And just look how much bad immigration policy tanked the approval ratings of Joe Biden. And so where I'm going with all of this is to say that I think this is a mandate that the second term of Donald Trump needs to be solely focused, or I should say the priority of it should be combating this illegal immigration problem, right? Not just building the wall or finishing the wall, but also deporting the millions of people who have flooded into our country under Joe Biden and arguably before that. And if you ever have doubts about that, you say, is that really the best idea? Look at the poll numbers. Okay, it is overwhelming. That is a political mandate by modern American standards. And so that's what we got to do. And frankly, that's where the main focus should be this time around, right? No excuses, no distractions about Obamacare. You want to do a tax cut or whatever, fine. But so long as you have the power, make that your day one priority. Absolutely 100%. But yeah, that is the current new political agenda that was introduced by Donald Trump this week. Let's take a listen now to what Joe Biden is proposing in response to that. Okay, so we have a new quote from Biden talking about, so it says, she knew Shalom need our freedom can never be secured. Okay, so this is a big, brand new idea from Joe Biden. Truer words have never been spoken. Take a listen here.
She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured.
Yeah, so that was obviously Joe Biden's response to all of the new ideas of Donald Trump. No, but in all seriousness, guys, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Do you think the idea of restaurant tip tax elimination could be a big deal that helps Donald Trump in the election? Do you also think he needs to double down on this illegal immigration thing? No excuses, no distractions this time because of the poll numbers we saw. Let me know in response. And until next time, folks, be sure to leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And until next time, Alpha Moves only. God bless. Have a very great rest of your day and peace.